Good afternoon, friends. Got something a little different here today. I'm going to introduce my brother. This is my brother, Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick Rocky.
Want to tell me a little bit about your bike you have here?
This is my 1980 Bajaj Chetak. It's modeled after a 1970s era Vespa Sprint made by Piaggio, which made all the Sprint models. It's a 150cc two-stroke, two-port, four-speed with a clutch. It actually shifts up here instead of down by your feet like a typical motorcycle. So that's kind of awkward, a little weird to get used to. But yeah, this is it. This is when I bought it. Didn't run. The guy said he had it at his shop and didn't know how to get it fixed, and the shop didn't know what the hell was wrong with it. So I spent a little bit of time, realized that the flywheel key was sheared, so it was 180 degrees at a time, which when I did get it to fire, it would fire in reverse. So the whole engine's spinning backwards. I went to put the thing in gear. She started going backwards, which was different than I ever messed with. I'm not a two-stroke guy. I never really owned anything two-stroke other than yard equipment. So this is a first for me. So I took the flywheel out. Luckily, I didn't need any crazy tools from Vespa, so that was kind of nice. Took the flywheel off, realized the crank was pretty much messed up. So I kind of put it back together, a little rigged up, but it does run good now after putting new points in it. Fixed all the lights on it. All the lights were blown out because once one goes dead, it creates an electrical demand, basically surging the rest of them, so it fried the other bulbs. Still needs some work. I'm going to leave it the way it is for the most part, except for the engine.
So what made you interested in these types of motorcycles? What got you into like the Vespa platform?
I've always thought they were kind of cool. Nobody really thinks of Vespas cool nowadays in the real bike world, but we saw some guys down in Tennessee that were, heavily modified in the engine department and, big stroke motors, and they're just ripping through the tail of the Dragon. And I was like, man, I gotta have one of those. That looks freaking fun as hell. Nobody expects this thing to go somewhat fast. I mean, this one will go 50 in its current configuration, and I think that's okay, but it needs a little bit more power.
So as far as working on this, would you say this is something for an entry-level guy or something for a novice or an expert?
It's very old school. It's based off of, the 60s, 70s platform. So if you're familiar with points and condensing units, as far as ignition goes, and in timing, it's not on the beginner level, I'd say. It's not fuel injected. You don't need a computer. It has very limited electronics in here. We're talking 6-volt system, 6-volt battery, 6-volt valves in the electrical side of it. Very basic, but you still have to go back in time to understand how the ignition system works and points. If you're not a points guy, this will be out of your ballgame. But if you do, pretty simple.
Does it need specialty tools? Are there things you have to buy just for this bike or this platform?
Yeah, a little bit. If you have standard electrical test equipment like a timing light, you can make your own timing light. Since it's 6-volt, you're gonna have to power it. You can't run it off the cars like a car battery or a motorcycle battery. It's 6 volts, so you're gonna have to figure out how to power a timing light. Flywheel puller. They actually make a piston stop so you can line top dead center when you're doing your timing. Outside of that, take standard metric tools, sockets and Phillips and flathead screwdrivers. Nothing crazy that I've gotten to yet. That I haven't really got into it deep yet as far as repair work goes, but based on the surface, it's pretty basic tools.
Being that this is a little different platform than most people are used to riding motorcycles or whatnot, when you're riding this bike, does it feel maybe confusing or odd or different because you are shifting with your left hand as opposed to with a foot clutch or a hand clutch or something different?
Yeah, so first gear, this is first gear. So like most bikes, when your handlebars are flat, like your clutch hand is up here, and then you rotate, that's neutral, and then you go to click into second. Actually, won't do it because I'm not rolling. But second gear and then fourth gear is actually all the way down. So like, yes, that is a little awkward to get used to, but once you ride it a couple times, it does get easier. You get muscle memory that you got to train yourself. Outside that, throttle's still on the right. It's got a foot brake down the floorboard here, and then your front brake is here. So outside of that, it's pretty basic. But the shifting is the weirdest part. Not hard, but weird.
So since this is two-stroke, you're mixing your own gas and oil, or has oil injection?
It does. Some of these do have oil injection, not this model. This one I do have to mix it, so I'm running a 50-to-1 mixture right now, which seems to work really well. I was pre-mixing, and then I bought some store-bought pre-mix gas, and that seems to be working a little bit better, a little bit more power. But yeah, you can mix it yourself, or you can buy pre-mix.
So being that this is limited electronics, this does not have a push to start, does it?
Nope, it's all a kickstart. So you got a kicker down here, and choke levers down here, fuel, all that stuff. So it's very old school, but She typically fires in the first or second kick most of the time. I got the ignition pretty dialed.
So what's next for this bike?
The next thing is actually coming up. We're going to take it down to Chicago. There's a guy called Scooter Works in Chicago. Ken, you may know, maybe some of the scooter guys will know who he is. Going to take it down to him. He's going to put a 177 kit on this thing. It's currently a 150. Going to board up to a 177. It's going to go from a standard traditional 2-port to a 3-port. And hopefully we're going to get a little more power out of it. They're saying right around, stock wise, you're like 8 to 10. This should be closer to 22, I think, with the 3-port mod. We're going to do exhaust, possibly upgrade the ignition to 12 volts so I can do better lighting. The headlight sucks at 6 volt, which any guys that have ridden 6 volt systems know that the headlight on 6 volt is not bright at all. So a little sketchy for nighttime or daytime driving when you want to be visible. And on something small, you want to be visible.
So from 8 to 20 horsepower, that's a heck of an increase.
It's a big jump. I'm maybe gear limited, so we're kind of curious how that's going to work because I don't think you can change the final gear out, but getting there will be awesome, a lot quicker.
So for guys and gals looking to get into this, what would your suggestion be to them?
If you want to find old school, there's tons of them on Facebook Marketplace. You got to be willing to travel a little bit. Luckily, we picked this one up in Holland, Michigan, so probably maybe 45 minutes to an hour drive for us. Not too bad. But if you want to find them, they are cheap, and a lot of guys just don't know enough about them. So if you do a little bit of research online, or ask us, we can probably point you in the right direction. There's a guy in Chicago that knows a lot of stuff. There's a guy in Georgia that knows a lot too. So if it's something that you're mechanically inclined and you want to dive into it, absolutely buy one, pick one up cheap.
I can't ride the wheels off it, right?
Exactly.
So anything else you want to tell us about the bike?
It's got a giant glove box. That's what I'm most excited about. I think I can fit a case of beer in there, or at least a full pack of beer in there. Outside of that, I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm just going to make it run a little better.
Sounds good. I think from here what we're going to do is we're going to do a walk around of the bike. We'll get it outside. We'll do a walk around the entire motorcycle. We'll show you its features. We'll have Nick run you through the starting process of this bike, kind of, the ins and outs of how this thing works. And then from there, I think we're going to take it for a ride. We're going to, head down the road here. We'll do some rolling shots and see what, this thing looks and sounds like going down the road. So let's head outside and check it out next. All right, now that we're outside, we're going to go ahead and show you the bike. We're going to walk around this thing and kind of give you a 360-degree view of the motorcycle. And then we'll have Nick come back in and talk about the ins and outs of it. It's got a great old school look. It's that classic Vespa styling. It's what everybody envisions when they think of Vespa.
Pull that engine cover off so you can see the engine. It's got this little pull tab. This whole side piece comes off. Get right to the basics, meat of the business. 2-stroke, 150cc. Very dirty. We're going to clean it up.
For me, it's honestly clean for what it is, in my opinion.
For as old as it is, yeah. You gotta remember, it's like 45 years old.
But for 45, it looks good.
Alright, so on this one you have your fuel petcock here. It's in the closed position right now. Straight up is run. It also does have a reserve, but we'll just leave it there. It does have your standard ignition switch up top. Kill switch is over here, and it's kickstart. So most of the time you can pretty much fire it off in one kick. Kicker's on the right hand side here. I usually just push down my foot a little bit. See if we can get it running. Might have to choke it. A little cold-blooded.
19 Grom. I brought that today because it has a stock exhaust, and you can kind of hear the note of the two-stroke here, kind of cruising along, looking good in the wind. I'm not sure where his bike tops out at. I feel like it tops out at 60. I think mine tops out at 55 here. Bajaj gets a ton of looks. We were downtown Muskegon last weekend, and there were a ton of cars waving and honking, and everybody had to look at that thing. You just don't see them on the road like that anymore. They're currently cruising along at 50 miles an hour. His bike's not struggling at all. That is beautiful Lake Michigan in front of us. park that we have in our area. It's a really cool piece. See at the top of this hill up here, maybe. The trees are still kind of covering it all. It's right up through those trees right there. One of these days we'll have to pull in and do a video on that. He's leaving me in the dust here. Park on the left for camping. On the right hand side is an Olympic luge track. They also do summer luge sessions. They've got quite a few different things to offer in there, including a new zip line and walking trails and a lot of other fun things for families to do on any given day. Back to the shop. Well, that was a fun little rip down the road. So this is not your first motorcycle, is it?
Oh God, no, this is one of many. One of many. This is just one that I wanted to get running, and it took 2 years to get this far going down the road successfully, so I'm pretty happy with where it's at right now. But yeah, definitely not my first bike. Definitely not my fastest bike, but still a lot of fun. It's unique. There's not too many around, and I want to keep this thing running. We'll get it ripping pretty soon. Stay tuned.
Heck yeah. So if people want to check you out and see more of your content, where can they find you?
I'm on YouTube as NSR238. That's probably the best place to find me. I'm also on Instagram under Supermoto Nick. Other than that, that's pretty much the only two I use.
We'll link both of those in the description below. Well, friends, thanks for watching today. Kind of wanted to show off this cool old gem. I've got a couple in the garage myself that I need to get going one of these days, and I'm slowly starting to work on those. I definitely have to say that seeing this one going down the road, the bug has bitten me a little harder to get on my game here and get things going. As always, friends, I thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.